Have you ever noticed how being in a car, being behind the wheel of a car, can bring out the absolute worst in you? Like, just the unmitigated, bottom-feedingest parts of your personality and who you are as a human being. I actually kind of use the car as a moment to exercise my demons, my socially unacceptable demons, because I've learned that as much as I don't really mean anything by it, talking in front of other people, saying things like, "What the hell was that all about? You useless idiot. Is that how you go through life? I hope you return home to find your children dead in a house fire and that you find that you have cancer on your next visit to the doctor." Saying things like that, I find that no matter how curative you find them to be when you say them to yourselves, a lot of people don't necessarily participate. A lot of people aren't able to suspend their take on reality enough to go like, hey, this is just his sense of humor. So all those parts of myself that I find to be completely socially unacceptable, I tend to exercise those in the car. And in the car, behind the wheel of a car, that's where I tend to find the largest amounts of idiocy. So it works out rather well. But don't you find that you just say and do things that are morally reprehensible behind the wheel of the car when you're alone? I think that if you want to get a true window into someone's soul, you ride with them in a car while they think they're alone, which I guess is impossible. Could you record them? I'm not sure. But if you want to figure out who a person really is and how dark the darkest parts of their soul are, you should get a recording of them driving alone in a car, at least when they think they're alone. That's how you can tell. It's kind of similar to, ladies, if you want to know what your guy's really into, he's probably too embarrassed to tell you some of the hideous, jacked up things he would like for you to do to him in the bedroom. If you really want to know what he's into, if you want to make your man happy, if you don't want him looking for external things outside of your relationship sexually, and I don't necessarily mean looking like he's going to go out and act on this stuff. I mean, like, just yearning for other things. You want to make him happy, right? And this is what you do. Pull up his porn browsing history. That's what he's into. Give him that.
You just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Time won't stop, but I'll stop time to run away and make you. Back once again, the ill behavior, deliberately giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy 18, can't nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, deliberately giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy 18, can't nobody rock a body better than me. Hey, you, what's that sound? I'm coming so loud from your radio dial. AD, be getting down when you're rocking the jams. Here I am, going back once again. I'm ruling all city like a king.
So I managed to work till like 11:15 last night. This is too late to work, bearing in mind that like my work day starts at around 8:45, and I don't know how it happened. I don't know what happened. It's like, do you ever realize you got room in your life, in your day, for one extra thing? Like, if someone says, oh, well, we just got to do this one meeting, or could you do this one extra thing for me? I've got room for one of those in my day. I had like 3 or 4 of them yesterday, and consequently found myself at the office at like 11:15 and made it home, didn't get to bed, crowbarred myself out of my usual stupor at my usual hour. The alarm went off at 6:45, and I responded the way I always do, by hitting the snooze alarm for 15 minutes and then getting up. And I was saying to Funkhouser off the air, I was like, man, I don't think I can do that. I don't bounce back the way I did when I was 19, 20 years old. And then I realized when I was 19, 20 years old, I didn't really have a job or responsibilities and slept for 12 to 13 hours a day. So I think I bounced back just about the same. I don't think 19 or 20-year-old me could have handled whatever the hell it is I find myself doing in this day and age. Do you find that about yourself? Do you often sort of look back to like, oh man, when I was 20, I could do whatever the hell I wanted to. Or when I was a teenager, I could do what I want, eat what I want, feel great. And then Here's the thing. When you were 19, 20 years old, you didn't have responsibilities. You didn't have a house. You didn't have a car. You didn't have a mortgage. You didn't have kids. You didn't have this, what's that expression those motivational speakers use? How big is your backpack? How much are you carrying around? Well, your backpack wasn't as freaking full as it is now back in those days. So when you hearken back to a time, your two-fisted years, when you feel like you were able to take a beating and, or take a licking and keep on kicking, as it were, bear in mind that you really didn't have as many things to worry about, not as many things weighing you down, not as many things in your proverbial backpack. So I say to you now, when you get home and you're exhausted, or you wake up and you're exhausted before your day's even begun, and you're like, oh, I used to be better at this. No, you didn't. You've become better over time. You've forged yourself into a hardened steel, like a sword that's been through the fires. You are the best you that you've been. Don't look back, look forward, and understand that you are more adept now at dealing with life than you ever have been in your life before. And you should salute yourself for that. As hard as it is to crowbar your ass out of that bed in the morning, you should salute yourself for that. Today in the show, I want to talk, and we've gotten into this, and it's always been toward the end of the show, and I haven't really been able to finish up. And I don't think we'll finish up today, but I wanted to really kind of dig into the meat of it. Today in the show, I wanted to discuss what's going on in Ferguson and kind of sort of what's going on in the world with regard to us as a race, us as human beings being more divided now than we have historically been. I wasn't sure of this to be true. I kind of like had a sense of it. And recently, as someone who grew up in the 80s and 90s and sort of like had a life devoid of racism, didn't meet my first racist until I was about 16, 17 years old, I didn't really feel like race relations were a problem when I was a child. And in my world, they weren't. And so now when I'm hearing about things that are going on in the world, these divisions that are taking place, whether it's a black-white thing, there, I said it, whether it's a black-white thing in Ferguson, Missouri, or whether it's a religious Palestine-Israel situation in the Middle East, I feel as though we're getting more and more dug in. We are more divided. There are problems that exist now that are existing for the first time in my life. We are actively moving backwards. Why? And what do we do about it? We'll get to that a little later on in the show, and we'll tackle as much of it as we can. Right now, though, on a slightly lighter note, what's the old expression? Have dessert before you get into dinner, because you don't know how long it's going to be until you kick the bucket, so you might as well start with something sweet and nice. Let's start with something a little bit more fun to ease our way into the fact that we're all going to hell in a freaking handbasket. Speaking of sweet and fun, Funkhouser, what is going on in the world and how are you?
Oh, hello! I'm good. How are you? I had donuts today. It was a good day.
Oh, again, sweet and fun.
Yep.
There you go.
You're darn tootin' there.
The other day, somebody brought donuts here to the place where I broadcast out of. And someone was like, ooh, donuts in the break room. I was like, I like donuts. And went in to have a look at them. And I was like, what semi-evolved cretin did this? And what made me say that to myself was the fact that there were like 3 donuts left in the box that had probably started with a dozen. All of which had bites taken out of them, and they put them back. Seriously, who does that? Actually, that's something I did when I was like 19. I remember being in the recording studio. And working on an album, and somebody brought donuts in, and I was bored and had nothing to do. And therefore, I went in to the break room where the donuts were, took a bite out of each one and put them all back because I wanted to see what they were like. And also, I found it to be sophomoric, juvenile, and amusing to myself. But here's the thing. I took a bite out of every donut in that box and put them all back. Whatever loser bit the donuts in my place of work now, just ruining it for the people that like, ooh, there's 3 donuts left. Maybe I'll have one of them. Aw, man. That's just idiotic and rude. That's not fully formed. They get no respect in the pranking department for that. That was just a cheap shot.
Yeah, here somebody cuts them. Like, I think the little old ladies that are on the other floor, they can't handle a whole donut.
Well,
So
you
cut it
get
in,
past a certain age and salt and sugar kicks your ass. As Sam Kinison said, salt and sugar kicks your ass. Get in the box. It's over for you. But the little old ladies cut them up?
Yeah, and then there's like an eighth of a piece of donut at like 2 p.m, and then you contemplate it for a minute. You're like, nah, it's probably too, it's been out there too long.
Did you have a donut this morning?
I had 2.
You had 2?
I had 2 donuts.
Which ones?
Oh, I like the glazed rounds. I like glazed round or twisters.
Those are
Those
good.
are my faves.
Did you have 2 glazed rounds, or did you enjoy the variety that is the spice of life?
I stuck to one type. I had 2 glazed rounds.
You know, those chocolate glazed donuts from Dunkin' Donuts, I don't even really especially like chocolate. Like, I don't like chocolate cake. I'd much rather have a yellow cake or a vanilla cake or something like that. And so, like, the idea of chocolate glazed is not necessarily something that appeals to me, but for some reason, a chocolate glazed donut from Dunkin' Donuts, holy freaking God, slap yo mama, is that good. I think it's because you can just kind of taste you can taste the lard in the sugary coating. Like, you really can. You're like, yep, this is definitely beef fat. And it's just like, I think it's the indulgence of, I don't know, it's the one flavor where you can really taste the fat along with the sugar. And I kind of feel like, I don't know, it's that much more satisfying knowing that you're eating a tasty treat while simultaneously going, F you, heart.
You ever had like a bacon donut?
No, I have. But you know what I had the other day? And this is neither here nor there and has obviously nothing to do with the news. I went to this place that had like I can't remember the name of it, but it was basically sort of like an Elvis burger. And it was a burger with peanut butter, mayo, and bacon on it. And I was like, well, clearly that sounds disgusting, but I have to try it. So I had a peanut butter, bacon, mayo hamburger. And it was all right.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah, you wonder what it's like. Have you ever had Ethiopian food?
I don't think so. Maybe once or twice.
Like, you kind of think peanut butter is not necessarily something that would go with delicious dead animal, but it is. Like, peanut butter is something that's used in Ethiopian food that goes with meat a lot. And satay sauce. Satay, am I pronouncing that right? That Asian sauce that you put on chicken and beef and stuff like that. That's essentially like peanut butter and spices. So, like, the peanut butter bacon thing actually worked reasonably well. I was expecting it to be a shock to the system. It was not a shock to the system. And had they put more mayo on it, I think it would have been a culinary disaster, but it was just the right amount of mayonnaise that you would like with your peanut butter, weirdly enough. There is an acceptable proportion of those 2 ingredients, and this place hit it right on the nose. So what is going on in the world?
Well, speaking of peanut butter, Khloe Kardashian says her new home is infested with mold.
Yeah, in all these conflict-type situations, there's 3 sides to every story. The one person's side, the other person's side, and in the middle lies the truth that neither of them can fully see. And I would say that the Khloe Kardashian saying that her home is infested with mold thing, yeah, I think that's not taking into consideration the other side of the story. As the mold would put it, their home is infested with a Kardashian. What else?
Mark Hamill was photographed on the Star Wars set with a beard.
Yeah. Former Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill, photographed with a beard. People aren't used to seeing him with one of those. Not a beard. Job. I'm happy they're putting him back to work. I hope they don't F it up. What else?
Okay, in last night's dream category, Kate Upton.
Yes. You have my attention.
She posted a video where she's wearing a white shirt and undertaking the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
What? Yes. Hold the phone. Hold on. To Google we go. Kate Upton.
Yes.
Ice Bucket. Sorry, typing with one hand, and not for the reason people usually type with one hand. I am aware of the fact that we're at work.
It's in HD too. Look at that. Wow.
Yeah. Hold on a second. And commercials and commercials and commercials.
And skip.
Oh, there she is. They're talking. I can't hear what they're saying, but I also don't care. Who the hell is this guy?